I'm Mason Mount. You're listening to the London is Blue podcast.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and talk about players we think almost without a doubt, or ones that we think have more than a 50% chance of leaving Chelsea permanently or on loan before the preseason's up. I have no agenda here. I have a couple names that we can test the waters with. But if you guys have people you want to bring into this, by all means, let's do it. If you for some reason think Kepa needs to go, let's talk about it
Now,
and
why does
what your
this say
problem is.
Brandon's agenda /
Yeah,
hatred against players in the script?
it's
That's
true.
actually what it says.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to Bakayoko, George. There were rumors that he had already had a loan lined up to PSG this summer. I'm disappointed. I feel like we haven't seen the Bakayoko that was on loan to AC Milan. I don't know if it's a formation. I don't know if it's a system. I don't know if he just doesn't like London, but it seems like he's not going to be around. We haven't seen the multiple player of the match Milan player that they got on loan.
Do you know what, Brandon? I think it's when we're talking about a player maybe leaving Chelsea that everybody's kind of in the same boat as. It's like, yeah, we can let him go. We don't need him. But if he's talking about a loan to Paris Saint-Germain, a team who are desperate to win the Champions League, like, are we missing something? Is there something
Right.
that we just don't see in Bakayoko? Because I don't see it. I don't see it at all.
Well, he also didn't see who he should be passing to today, because I think there were 4 or 5 times where he passed directly to the opposition, and it almost it became comical. It felt like it should have like just a humorous note or backing track to it.
Well,
I honestly don't think we're missing anything. I think, he did have a great season in Milan, except for the outburst and kind of maybe a little bit of falling out. They obviously crash out of Champions League position, so now they're back in a financial concern, can't sign him to a full deal. And he has just not looked up for it in the same way that even Danny Drinkwater looks like he's putting forward more effort than Bakayoko is right now. And Daniel Drinkwater has been one of the most made fun of signings that we've made in quite some time. So, you hope that potentially by putting Bakayoko in a situation where he feels supported, where he feels like maybe he did in Milan, where he knew that he was going to be on the team sheet, and inspired some confidence in him, Nick. But I don't feel like right now he's shown us anything other than that he maybe shouldn't play, because this could be hurting his chances to go on a loan somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, we think back to when we did keep sell loan at the beginning of June, and he was a guy that we were all like, yeah, we should keep him. Like, especially when you can't sign players, you need to keep all the talent that you have. And he looked like he was regaining confidence last year in Serie A and all this stuff. And then you watch him play in the midfield too, and you want to claw your eyes out. You're like, what are you doing? Like, there is no movement. There is very little energy for a guy who's a physical specimen, stud athlete. Like, he's really good. Like, I don't understand how easy passes go missing so frequently. And then I don't really understand what he does tracking back defensively, which is scary, because that was like part of his calling card when he was at Monaco, was that he was a destroyer, not in the same vein as an N'Golo Kante, but he was just a really great all-around midfield player. And I don't feel like we've ever seen that maximized, Mike. And I think I'd be happy to see him go at this point.
Yeah, I mean, what we saw at once against Tottenham, and then from there it's kind of been downhill. Um, I don't know. I think we're all in the same spot. I think he very well could go. There's just a little part of me that says, this is preseason. I know he has played like hot garbage, but at the same time, when it comes down, when we're looking in a situation of potentially, who knows what's going on with Conte's knee. I know he's probably will be back soon, but it's a bit of the Kennedy conundrum, in which Kennedy is at least a Premier League player. Is he maybe a Chelsea quality player? I don't know, but when we can't bring anyone else in, maybe somehow Bakayoko could pull his head out and figure something out. But I don't think we'll see him. But again, from a depth position, God, man, to have his size and his ability to be able to be there just in case, or even for cup competitions for rotation. It would be so nice for him to actually be able to play a little bit of football
Well,
at this point.
so what's interesting is, like, George, how bad did we strike out when out of the 3 Monaco players that came out of that amazing side, City get Bernardo Silva, Liverpool get Fabinho, and we end up with Bakayoko? Like, we clearly lost that one.
Liverpool got Fabinho too, and he's been all right for them.
PSG with Mbappe. I mean, we picked the wrong piece out of that puzzle.
At least he has a good song, though.
It's true.
The Bakayoko song was great until we realized that there's
It was
never, ever
short-lived.
been a Chelsea song with lyrics that are just so not true. He always gives the flipping ball away. The best one was the game in Ireland where it's like he looked up and he actually passed it to Lampard. It's like, yeah, I know. He's a great midfielder, isn't he? Like, you should always try and find your midfield compatriots who are actually good at football. But no, he's the manager backer. Come on. What are you doing? You know what, Nick? I've had enough of him, and I'm ready to see him go.
Yeah, he was such a marauding box-to-box midfield in Monaco. I think that's probably what PSG looks back is like maybe he just didn't settle in London, but we know he can do it in France. I think that's Mike's point. He hasn't proven it here. And I think that's a common thing, right? Like a player can be good in continental Europe, but the English Premier League is different. If it is just inherently different, and some players cannot adapt to it, and that's a thing. Talking about the next one in Drinkwater, a guy who has played more football in the last 2 weeks than he has in the last 14 months. I guess I don't really see a lot of value in having him around, but at the same time, that's because we haven't seen him since Antonio Conte, essentially. Nick, is there anything that any reason or role that we should keep, Drinkwater? Everyone always compares him to his wages, right? He's on huge wages. And when he doesn't play, I think people hold that against him.
Yeah, you shouldn't, though. He didn't make his wages. The club did. The club thought they were buying a stopgap solution in the, kind of 11th hour. And, I think we can all realize that mistakes were made. This isn't the guy that is going to play consistently for Chelsea. And when you look at having, in his position alone, having Jorginho, having N'Golo Kante, and having Mateo Kovacic, who we just bought, knowing that Ruben is coming back at some point, and Mason Mount can fill in, Barkley can fill in. Like, there's no need for a Daniel Drinkwater on this squad. And I didn't even think he played that poorly today, to be honest with you. I think he was actually, again, I don't mean this demeaningly. He was trying really hard. It isn't the quality that I think is going to be required. And, unfortunate for him that he's playing in a position, Dan, that Frank Lampard played in. and I think probably has a pretty good idea of what he's looking for there.
Yeah, the midfield is the one area where it seems to be the embarrassment of riches right now, where we can go to a midfield 3, we can go to a diamond 4. We have the luxury of having multiple different midfielders to choose from. But when you look at that depth chart, Daniel Drinkwater is just above Bakayoko, which is not saying much in terms of where that ranking is. You would hope, I think as Chelsea hoped, that bringing him back in, maybe get the magic of Conte and Drinkwater back together. It's a midfield pairing that won the league in a spectacular fashion, but the magic has just never been able to be replicated outside of his own trolling of himself and his last name on social media. Like, that's the best thing he's been able to do since he's been at Chelsea. And the one goal that he got, that was quite exceptional. But beyond that, it's quite unfortunate. I mean, it seems like he's a nice guy. It seems like he's nice to, it seems like the team has fun with him from the way that the photos portray it. But ultimately we need people who are going to be high-level contributors to the squad, and he would be very easy to move on from.
George, are we picking on your English national team pool player? Are we being too hard as Americans?
No, you know what? I completely agree. And it's not like there isn't already an abundance of English talent coming through at Chelsea. So if anybody is like down the bottom of my favorite English player pecking order at Chelsea, I think Drinkwater might well be at the bottom of that one as well. And again, it's like, I completely agree with what Dan says. It's not that he isn't a likable character, but at the end of the day, we're talking about a business that is considered a success if you deliver on the pitch, not if you're nice in photos. You know what I mean? So for me, I think, again, if you're just above Bakayoko in that pecking order, then it's not exactly something that us Chelsea fans can get excited about.
So we shouldn't have sent you that number 6 England kit with Drinkwater on the back then.
Oh, I'd be highly grateful. I will stick it on the wall behind me for all of my future videos to remind me to stay hydrated when I speak too fast.
There it is. Oh.
Mike, you're our last hope. You gonna stick up for Drinkwater?
I had high hopes. I thought he could have done a spell, especially when Cesc was struggling. But you know, it's like he ate the lasagna. Anytime that he was needed, he was either injured or sick. And it's been tough because there's no reason why he shouldn't have been able to at least been a little bit of a journeyman and done a little bit of something with the club overall. And I think it's just disappointing. And I wish him the best, but he needs to get off our wage sheet. 150,000 pounds is a lot a week to run an Instagram account. So I'll do that for Chelsea for a whole lot less.
Yeah, there's definitely probably a big gap in between where you're at and where he's at that they could then reinvest that in other areas.